Hello, welcome back to my 12 Days of Christmas Cards series. This is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and the card for today is a humorous Christmas card that I have dubbed Abominable Christmas because I have used the Lawn Fawn Lovable Legends stamp set along with some other elements to create an Abominable snowman card. So the layout for the card came from this sketch that you're seeing here. It is the Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine sketch challenge for their winter issue. So that was my inspiration. And then here's the Lovable Legends stamp set from Lawn Fawn, and I used the Bigfoot and the footprints. And then I also used the Lawn Fawn Ready Set Snow stamp set. I used the Santa and his sleigh and the two little trees. And then for my greeting, I combined that this Simon Says Stamp Holiday Hello stamp set with the Unbelievable from the Lovable Legends to create the overall saying. So for my background of my main panel, I knew I'd have my Yeti, or I'm going to call him the Bumble, covering up most of it. So I just drew a light line there so I could figure out where to place my landscape that I was putting in the background. So I'm stamping down my trees from Ready Set Snow, and then I'm going to stamp Santa and his sleigh in the sky. And I'm going to emboss Santa with black embossing powder. So I'm stamping him with Versamark ink, and then I'm going to put some black embossing powder on him and get him heat embossed and set. So he will be like a silhouette in the night sky. So here I have created a mask that I just, drew and made up of some steep and craggy mountains in the background because the idea is like it's the Himalayas where the Yeti lives and Santa's flying over because, even the Yeti gets Christmas presents, right? So to draw the nights, or to put in the night sky, I'm using my little mini distress inks, and I am using Faded Jeans, Chipped Sapphire, and Dusty Concord. I normally would use some black soot, but I did not use black soot for this because I didn't want to obscure Santa, who was embossed in black. Now I also have a couple of masks there of the trees from the Ready Set Snow stamp set, and I'm covering those because I'm going to now put in sort of the snow and the mountain base coat, I guess I'll say. So for this I am using Pumice stone and Hickory smoke, and I am not trying to get like a smooth blend at all. I'm actually trying to get like some textural details on the mountains just to kind of make them look craggier, and you can sort of see there it kind of worked. But to add in some additional details, I pulled out my Spectrum Noir markers, and I am using IG2 to color in sort of the horizon line there, and then IG1 to kind of smooth that out. Since it is a nighttime scene and it is snowy, I figured it would not be it's not gonna be white, it would be gray. So that's why I used IG1 and IG2. And then for my mountains, I use IG2, IG4, and IG6. And so I'm just adding in like texture because I want the mountains to look craggy and steep and imposing because, we can't actually find the Yeti because his home is so perilous, right? So I'm adding in some texture there, like with a little bit of cross hatching with my IG6, and I'm blending it with IG2, and then I go back and blend it a little bit more with IG4, but I don't get a smooth blend, and I don't want that because I want some of that texture to be evident when you look at it. So I have also removed the masks from the trees. That may be obvious. And now I'm adding in some shadows for the trees as if the moon were behind them. And then I color in my trees with DG3, which is the first color I use, and then JG6 is the darker color, and then I blend those two together with the DG3 to get sort of a shadowed green effect on those trees. Now you can see the green outline that from the green ink I stamped the trees with. I wind up going over that with a Copic liner because I'm not crazy about the green outline in the end, but you won't see me do that on camera. But I thought I'd mention it just in case you notice it in the final shots. And here I'm coloring the snow just a little bit with the IG1 to gray it down a little bit. And then I realized that the horizon line probably needs to be a little more distinct and a little bit further away. So I darken it up with some IG6 and some IG4. And then I realized I need to put in some snow or land, I guess, over on the other side, just in case the little Yeti tag or Bumble tag doesn't cover the whole area, and I wasn't entirely sure it would. And then I take my like colorless blender and just touch up the tops of the mountains to kind of make them a little bit lighter for snow. And then I take, of course, my Spectrum Noir sparkle marker and I sparkle up the snow on the trees, and then a little touch for the snow on the mountaintops. And that's actually very subtle in person because it's so gray. So for the star of my card, Mr. Bumble, I knew I was going to emboss him, and you know, he's a Yeti, right? So he blends with his snowy environment, hence why he has never been found. So he has to be like white and gray, right? So that's why I decided to emboss him in silver embossing powder. So I stamped him with Versamark, and now I'm going to emboss him in silver. And so the silver helps him blend with his snowy background, but it also adds a little bit of metallic shine to this Christmas card because, you know, don't all Christmas cards need a little bit of metallic and shimmer. Now, what Yeti or Bumble or Bigfoot card would be complete without footprints? Like, that wouldn't make any sense. So I had to have some footprints, and I'm stamping them in Versamark. And because you can't see where you've stamped because Versamark is clear, that's why I'm like stamping it, then putting the embossing powder on it, then stamping it, then putting the embossing powder, so on and so forth, until I have the whole strip done. And then I get the whole thing embossed in gold to, again, add a little metallic shine to our Christmas card. And there you see them. So to color my Yeti, as I have mentioned, we know he has to blend with his snowy background, right? So I'm going to color him basically gray. So I use IG1, which is also the color I've used for the snow at night. And I base coat him entirely in IG1, and then I add in some shadows with the IG2, basically like under his arms and under his chin and under his little details of his fur there. And then I'm blending the whole thing out with IG1, which helps smooth down the blend. And then for his nose, his hands, and his feet, I use IG4 and IG6. So I'm base coating all of it in IG4, and then I'm coming back in and adding some shadows and some little toenails there with the IG6. And I wind up leaving the toenails alone because I thought they were so cute. But I do blend out the other areas with the IG4 once I add in the IG6 and kind of get it a little bit of a smoother blend. Now his fur seemed kind of flat to me. It needed some texture. So I took my IG2 and I just kind of, I don't know, drew little lines, little texture lines all over his fur to make him look more furry. And then I colored his whole face with IG1, gave him little pink cheeks with PP1, and blended that out with IG1 again. And his eyes were kind of getting lost in that. You'll see that especially after I add in these shadows with the IG2. So I decided to grab my black glaze pen and just dot in a couple of eyes, and it actually makes a huge difference, as you can see there. Really, it kind of gives him some personality. So of course he has to be shiny and shimmery for Christmas, so I did shimmer up his entire fur with my Spectrum Noir glitter pen, and that's kind of the layout. Now to create my greeting, I combined Have An Christmas from the Holiday Hellos stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and then I used Unbelievable from the Lovable Legend stamp set. So it says, have an unbelievable Christmas, you know, because it's a Yeti or the Bumble and it's Christmas. Anyway, so to stamp the black portions, which were the Have An and Christmas, I used some archival jet black ink because I'm stamping it onto vellum, and I knew that would be permanent and dry permanent. And I'm just getting my spacing correct because my plan was to put what I'm doing now, which is heat emboss the Unbelievable word in gold on a white cardstock strip and pop that up on some foam squares on top of the vellum to complete the greeting. So again, I'm just stamping that with Versamark and then coating that with some gold embossing powder and then heat embossing that to get it all nice and shiny for our Christmas theme. And there you see it going, it turns nicely from matte to metallic. So you'll notice there that I added a cave behind the Yeti because he was looking pretty flat. And then I embossed a white sheet with the snowflakes, Cuttlebug Snowflakes embossing folder for my background. And now I'm adhering down my strip of my footprints to the one side, to that snowflake panel. And then I'm going to adhere this whole thing down to an A2 sized navy cardstock card front to give it just a little bit of a border. It's about an 1/8 of an inch border. Now I drew that cave behind my Yeti just using those same grays. It was A2, or IG2, IG4, and IG6. And just darkened up the cave. So there's a lot of IG6 going on there with the darker cave. Now to space out my greeting correctly, I kind of was figuring out how to glue everything down. And then because it's on vellum, I did only put glue behind the word unbelievable so that you don't see the adhesive through the vellum. And now to complete the card, the sketch had a little sort of ribbony banner going across the middle with like a flowery button or something. So my version of that is some silver decorative cord. And then I punched a snowflake from a little hand punch, and I put a sequin on in the middle of that from the Pretty Pink Posh mermaid sequin set. So it's kind of a blue sequin, and my snowflake is white. So I'm just messing around with placement on that decorative cord to get it so that the snowflake sits properly. And there's my head, so sorry about that. And then I used some Ranger Multimedia Matte adhesive to glue this down. So I'm trying to get the where the cord crosses, and then the snowflake right on top of that. And then I set the little punch on it to let it dry. So keep it tucked down while it dries. So now I'm just adhering this whole card, or whole panel, I guess, to the front of an A2 top folding card base with my ATG gun. And you can see it takes me a couple times to get it correctly. And then I just sort of trim off the extra. And that is it. That's basically the card. And so there you can see good close-up on some of the coloring. I did staple him to the landscape piece, and you can see how that greeting is popped up a little bit, and then the good embossing on the background. So I hope I have maybe sparked a few ideas, hopefully showing you ways you could potentially use stamp sets that aren't Christmas related to make a Christmas card, or maybe an idea to make a funny Christmas card or a holiday card, as the case may be. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate everybody who's stopping by to check out my Christmas card series. You can find a complete list of supplies on my blog at blacksheep303.com, and there is a link below in the video description. Have a fantastic holiday season. Hope to see you tomorrow.